Welcome to the Steroids Podcast with your host, Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. Boom! Boom! Let's get started here. The Steroids Podcast is brought to you by Ultimate Guide to Roids, 109-page ebook by Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. Now, for the first time in bodybuilding history, you have someone with no corporate interests and no obligation to please anyone, not walking on eggshells to not offend. Ultimate Guide to Roids gives you the information, the whole truth, not a full truth and a half truth, full truth. Ultimate Guide to Roids gives you the keys to the Lamborghini, gives you the information, and lets you decide what to do with it. It's a crime this information has been suppressed this long. Now let's get on with the podcast.
Okay, welcome to the Steroids Podcast. I am here today with my friend Jeremy. He's back for another episode because he's getting ready for a contest prep to compete in a competition in about, what, like 6 months, Jeremy?
Yeah, around December. There are a few shows that I'm looking at, smaller shows, a couple of smaller shows, and then depending on how I do there, then maybe do a slightly bigger show. So that's the plan, yeah.
And what is the first thing that starts getting dialed in when you go from being not competing, just cruise control, doing just regular day-to-day bodybuilding, and then when you start getting ready for the competition, what's the big changes that you make?
Well, right now it's a diet. It's the first thing, and then the second thing is more, I'd say, targeted cardio. So before, my cardio was basically walking my dogs 3 times per day. So we do a half an hour walk in the morning, and then we do a 20-ish minute walk in the afternoon, and then we do another half an hour at night. But this walking is, when you're walking small dogs, it's not like proper cardio, right? You're stopping, they're peeing, they see other dogs and whatnot. So it's very staggered.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not like real proper, like focused cardio, So I would do I'm starting to do a lot more focused cardio. So we're doing about 20 minutes of fasted focused cardio every day on my little I have a stepper machine in my house that I purchased for my last prep.
Yeah.
So we're doing that every morning, focused cardio, and then doing some ab control work. So vacuums, a couple of crunches, leg raises on my little adjustable bench, and that's the morning routine. Then after that,
One question is, how much cardio did you add on the stepper in addition to the 90 minutes walking your dogs per day?
I wouldn't say it's 90 minutes. I'd say it's about around, maybe you can call it 90 minutes, but I just added 20 minutes, starting with 20 minutes in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
okay.
If I'm training legs, so that's like, on the days that I'm not training legs, if I'm training legs on that day, then I can opt not to do that cardio. I'll just do some ab control work and posing in the morning fasted. Then I'll go and, walk my dogs as usual.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you added like a more high intensity cardio fasted in the morning before you walking your dogs.
Yes. And then because I feel once you've done that cardio, mm-hmm. and your body's, you're sweating, because now it's summer, it's very hot. So your body's sweating, you've got, you've woken up, your body's, sweating, warm. Then you go and walk your dogs. You still get some effect from that, but it also helps you cool down a little bit more from that cardio, because the morning heat is not as intense as the afternoon heat where I am. So
there's an interesting concept with like doing a bit of cardio or something, or even just doing a small bit of exercise when dieting, because the body I mean, if you're not eating anything, as if like it's in if you're fasting, it seems like the metabolism actually kind of speeds up. Like the longer the time that you go without food, it kind of speeds up because you get more adrenaline and stuff. But if you're on like
Mhm.
a calorie restricted diet, there seems to be a tendency for the body to kind of shut down a little bit.
Yeah,
As
stall
like
out.
yeah, like as less food is given to the body, it can kind of like cool down and want to like sit around and stuff like that. And but then there's this concept where you do a little bit of exercise, and usually it works best when it's high intensity exercise, like you said, doing the stair stepper, or maybe doing a few minutes of like fast high intensity weightlifting without rest periods. And I kind of think of this, or I call it turning on the machine, because it
Mm.
seems to, every time you do this, it gets all of the catecholamines, or the neurotransmitters that have to do with like your sympathetic nervous system and getting that fight or flight response going. And it seems like within about 10 to 20 minutes of starting cardio, or starting like a some kind of exercise activity, you feel your body change, like the energy systems kind of change when you're in the diet, where like you start and you have no energy, you feel like shit, and then about 10 to 20 minutes after you start, all of a sudden it's like, I'm okay, I'm cool, I feel good.
Yeah, I think it's because you start releasing the endorphins, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at what I sent you, the plan, my heart rate is around 140 to 150 beats per minute. So that's not low intense. That's not really low intensity, because what
Yeah,
some
150
guys would call
medium.
low,
That's definitely medium.
yeah, 140 to 150. So, I mean, I'm not like a fucking 300 pound, 250 pound bodybuilder. I'm competing in like men's physique, So like, my cardiovascular system is still at a good stage where I can run, I can play soccer, I can play basketball, which I do still play, um, a bit less now, but I can still do those things and not get completely gassed out and just, fall flat on the floor. So for those bigger guys, I think when they're walking at like 200 and 120 beats per minute, even 125, yeah, they're carrying a lot of muscle mass. Imagine carrying like, you know, an extra 20 kilo in a weight vest or a 20 kilo plate and walking.
Yeah,
you're gonna you're gonna start breathing heavy and going, oh, that's the cardio.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I completely understand what you're saying. There are also some guys that after they finish their meals, they'll like get up and just go for a short walk.
That's a very good idea.
Have you
And that's
have you ever
going on.
done something like that?
Absolutely, man, because that's going on the whole insulin sensitivity concept. I mean, I think everybody kind of got that from Stan Efferding. He was the one who kind of like
Yeah,
made
stand up.
that made that be like, oh, okay, this is like a something that you can do. But I never really understood the point of that. Like before, I didn't understand like why Stan was saying like, oh, I got to get great insulin sensitivity. This was like back earlier in my bodybuilding journey. Why does Stan say he's got to get such great insulin sensitivity when he said that he was a fat, out of shape bodybuilder? And I was like, well, why would he do that? Why wouldn't he just do like a calorie deficit or something? And I realized that when he's creating that insulin sensitivity meal after meal like that, that's more of the bodybuilding method of getting ripped, is manipulating those hormones and then making it so that his insulin levels, his storage hormone levels, because he was super
Yeah.
sensitive, were never going super high, and so then he's able
Yes.
to maintain that more lean, mean physique, and do it like without having to do some kind of extreme dieting constantly, manipulating these insulin levels to be able to get that lean physique without constant extreme dieting.
But you also have to understand that, I mean, if you want to get lean, like very lean, but you're not looking to compete or anything, just if the goal is just weight loss, it's actually very simple. It's just literally your calories are relatively low and you're doing quite a lot of cardio. But for competition, it's not ideal because you still want the muscle to remain relatively full. You get what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
want that burnt out, stringy kind of look, especially like even if you look at the men's physique guys nowadays. Like I just watched the Japan Pro and I saw this Filipino guy, Joven. He won first place. Man, you look at his upper body, he looks like he almost looks like he can compete in classic physique. He's round, 3D, hard, and big, you know? So that's the standard that, you know, even at the amateur level, that some guys are getting. And that's the standard that the judges want. So you cannot just, oh, I'm gonna cut out all my carbs and do it. You cannot cut out a whole macronutrient group and just go gung ho like that because you're not gonna look good, you know? Yes,
Definitely, yeah.
conditioning is very important. It's very important, right?
One good example to look at of the effect of like a extreme, like zero carnivore diet. There's no fullness associated with that at all. So if you want to have that finished bodybuilder look, definitely you've got to have at least some carbs in your system to get the muscles pushing against the skin. And think of a kind of a funny example of not doing that would be the carnivore diet guy, Dr. Sean Baker. Have you seen his body?
No, I'm not familiar with this name. No,
Okay, he's like
nothing.
the top like social media personality associated with the carnivore diet, and he's like probably like 55 years old. He's definitely on like 1,000 milligrams of testosterone or something, but lies about it and says he's natural. But has way oversized muscles, and so but he looks so flat, and his skin it doesn't look like it's shining. It doesn't look like there's any kind of pop in it. He's got big muscles. He's strong, but the muscles look deflated. Like you took a tire and you just let all the air out of it. And if this guy would eat carbs, like if he would eat 3 cups of rice twice a day for 5 days, that his body would completely transform.
Yeah, it would come to life, so to say.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, you do notice that with quite a lot of guys. I mean, I wouldn't say that they're competing, but I do know quite a few guys who go on zero carb diets and they just eat like fat and protein. And that's the look that they get. But for them, it's okay because they don't have any aspiration to step on stage. They just want to be healthy, to be lean. They want that energy all day long because, if you're not careful with your carbohydrates, you can actually get quite sluggish and tired. And it goes back to the whole idea of insulin being the hormone that governs a lot of what our body does, both male and female. You get what I
Mhm.
mean? Insulin, like you always talk about it, like insulin, that, the probably like the king of the hormones in our body, right? Obviously testosterone as well for the guys, but insulin. So if you can control your insulin and you know how to use carbohydrates, like what you say as the rocket fuel, right?
Mhm.
Around to fuel your workouts, I think that in my opinion, that is a better approach because number one, you're learning how to have options, right? You're learning how to have options of, okay, you know what? I'm going to do some training. I would like to have some carbohydrates to fuel my training. And after my training, I'm also going to have some carbohydrates to replenish that glycogen. But if I don't need the carbohydrates at this time, then I'm not going to put it in. I'm going to substitute it for maybe some healthy fats in the form of a coconut oil, a MCT oil, extra virgin olive oil, or some avocado, whole eggs, whatever. I think that's a better way of approaching it, long term. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, like what you're talking about is metabolic flexibility. So the
Mm,
ability to use either glucose or fat as an energy source simultaneously and changing through
yeah.
through them as needed throughout the day.
But I don't know if this is like sounds very bro science like, but I always believed, and I've been told this by my coach and also by a few people that I've actually not gotten coaching from, but gotten advice from, is to force your body to learn how to burn the fat. Force your body to learn how to do that first
Yes,
before
and
you start.
I
Yeah.
agree with that 100%, because that's the thing is that if you have no metabolic flexibility, and it's like your body only, it's so you've been giving it carbohydrates and glucose so much over the years, and I mean, you never fast, you never diet without carbohydrates and glucose. So really, your body, as soon as it runs out of glucose, and every time it does, or it runs out of its glycogen stores in the liver or something, it goes, oh my God, I've got no energy. And then you go hypoglycemic, because your body doesn't
Yeah.
have the digestive enzymes in order to liberate fat and use it as an energy source. Great. So as soon as you go into the fat burning zone, it's like your body just completely shuts down. It doesn't know how to
Yes.
burn fat.
And for this, so going to the last prep that I did, so I took one whole year off, right? Going into the last prep I did in 2021, I didn't compete because I hold that condition for over a month, and that was hell because back then we had another COVID outbreak where I was, and all the shows kept being canceled. So I was prepping, I booked everything, and then this show is canceled. Okay, move to the next one in the next city. Cancel, cancel, cancel. So I got to a point when I was like, oh fuck this. I'm done. Right? I've been prepping for like too long. I'm burnt out. I have no motivation. I don't want to do this anymore. So I took a year off. So learning from the mistakes in that prep, right? Um, they say that prep should be like landing an aeroplane. You don't want to land and then it lands and it goes all rickety and stuff like that. You want a very smooth landing. And you notice that whenever, I don't know if it's the same in America, but on quite a lot of the flights that I've been on, when the pilot lands the plane very smoothly, all the passengers give a round of applause for the pilot,
Yeah, I like that.
And
I
I
like
think
that.
that's how you want, yeah, that's how you want prep to be. Of course, you have to suffer, right? That goes without saying. If you want true condition doesn't come without suffering. No matter how elite you are, no matter how good your genetics are. But the point is that to land the plane as smoothly as possible. So to put the right amount of cardio in place when needed, almost like you're playing cards. I'm using two analogies now, yeah? So when you're playing a game of cards, you have your stronger cards. You don't want to just throw all those cards on the table because then at the end of the day, what cards do you have left to play? Nothing, right? A bunch of shitty cards.
Mhm.
But if you use those cards, I'm going to add in a bit more cardio. Okay. Then, let's pull out a bit more carbs and then drop a bit more weight. Now let's add in a second cardio session, perhaps before bed, and drop more weight. Oh, let's put in some clenbuterol. Oh, drop more weight. Okay, now let's add in a bit of the thyroid hormone, drop more weight. And then you cruise in, to your last 2-3 weeks, and you're almost there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then you just land the plane smoothly. I think there's no perfect way of doing it. I think even pros, they, it's sometimes it's hit and miss, but you try your best to learn your body, work with the coach, and achieve the desired result, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way of describing it.
So let's look at your diet then, because
Yeah.
so you're just starting right now. This is just the starting of your contest
Uh,
prep diet, and it looks like you
yeah.
got
So I've been,
5 meals a day.
yeah, I've been on this for about 1 week and 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
1 week and 3 days. Yeah. So it's, well, can you call it, yeah, 5 meals a day, but with the post-workout shake, I don't know if you consider shake a meal, but yeah, 5 full solid meals a day. Yes.
All right. Well, let's
So
go like basically meal to meal, and talk about
yeah,
like why you chose it the way you did. Okay.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
So first meal, we have 2 whole eggs, 6 egg whites, 1 scoop of the isolate protein, but actually I'm using hydrolysate now, but it's almost the same. And 50 grams of oatmeal. So I mix the whey with the oatmeal, hot water. And then I have 1 tablespoon of, right now I'm using the MCT oil. And I just put that on a spoon and just drink it.
Okay. And
So
why do you use MCT oil? Why are you taking that?
it's a very good source of fat. right? You can use avocado, you can use coconut oil, MCT oil. I like to have a variety, so I have avocado in my meal plan. I have coconut oil, I have MCT oil, and I also have extra virgin olive oil. I don't use it all at the same time, but I have sometimes I'll use 1 tablespoon of MCT oil, sometimes 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. It just depends, you know.
And this is
It
for
really
energy purposes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because your body needs, you cannot be scared of, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying generally, a lot of people think carbs and protein, carbs and protein. That's very important as well. But don't forget, fat is another group of macronutrients. We have carbs, protein, and fats. So to neglect a group of macronutrients, I think is quite nonsensical, right? Because if we don't have fats, our energy sources tend to be low. Remember, fats also are very good for our own body's natural production of, the hormones that allow us to lose weight, right? And fats also keep our body functioning regularly and healthily, just like how vegetables, yeah, some bodybuilders that don't eat vegetables, right? Which is a bit nonsensical to me. Vegetables are essential for a healthy body. And if the body is not healthy, how can you expect to perform at a high level, to build muscle, and to burn fat? You get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that also reminds me what you're saying about the fats of the research that's on the muscle building effects of egg whites versus whole eggs, which is really interesting research showing that the whole eggs are vastly superior to eating only egg whites in the muscle building effects, which was
I,
showing that the fats were essential in that.
I'll give you another anecdote. Okay, so I'm not sure if you're a religious man or not, but let's say if there was God, right? If there is a God, which I do believe there is, God created egg with egg white and egg yolk, right?
Mhm.
Why did God just create the white and not the yolk? So beef, steak, right? When you cut a steak, whatever steak, even the leanest cut of steak, there's still a bit of fat in that, right?
Yeah.
Chicken breast, as lean as it is, there's still a little bit of fat. Fish, salmon, tuna, white fish, haddock, pollock, there's still a little bit of fat in there. We need fat to be able to absorb that protein,
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can't we can't run away from it, unfortunately. But it's a good thing because we need it to so that the protein can be absorbed, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first meal. Now the second meal will be white fish or shrimp, and so I have my vegetables. Okay. And actually, my vegetables, I don't really weigh them out. I just have like a smaller bowl of whatever, cucumber, lettuce, bok choy, whatever green vegetables I can get. Then I'll drizzle some extra virgin olive oil on it, or
Mhm.
I'll measure out 3 ounces of avocado and just put it on top and eat it like a salad, basically.
Okay.
So
So
you see this
that's a
second
no
meal,
carb
there's
meal.
no carbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no carbs, right? Because I've already had that oatmeal before, and actually, oatmeal, for me, it takes a bit longer to digest. And plus, I have the MCT oil. So that MCT oil actually, with the fat, I do find that it takes a little bit longer than usual to digest. So that's good for me. And this is a lighter meal so that when I go and train, I don't feel, oh my God, my stomach is full. I can't move. I feel like an off-season guy or something like that. So
Hmm.
that's why we have this as a second meal before I'm training. And, so this will be, I think, at about 10 to 10:30 a.m. in the morning. Okay. Then I have a pre-workout. Okay. So I don't really have any of those pre-workout powders or anything like that. I do have them in my house, but I don't really like to use them unless necessary. So what I've been doing now is I just get, the coffee granules from Nescafe,
Yeah,
and
the
you just
crystals,
scoop, yeah, like that. And
they
just
dissolve.
scoop, take two, yeah, and just put some hot water, a little bit of hot water first. Then I put ice cubes, then I fill it up with normal water. So it's like an iced Americano. But obviously it's very economical because it costs way less
Yeah.
than going to Starbucks or whatever and paying, however many US dollars for one
Do
for
they do
one
they do
cup, right?
Starbucks in China?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They have Starbucks. It's about, I think for an Americano, it's maybe like 20 something or 30 renminbi. But I don't really drink much coffee from, those places, to be honest with you. So I'm not very clear on the price. But I do know it's a lot more expensive than what I'm making at home.
Mhm.
So I'm saving money. Yeah, I'm cutting costs. Saving on what I call unnecessary expenses. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'll have that, and that usually does the job. And then during my workout, I have just one scoop of essential amino acids, um, you know, with cold water, and then
Okay,
I'll
and
train.
so during your workout, since your last meal before the gym was not a carb meal, and then you had you had the basically amino acids and pre-workout stimulants.
Yeah,
So is your energy still okay in the gym
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. It's good. It's good. Very good workout. That's why I like to train around midday.
Okay.
Because every morning I wake up at about 6 a.m. Okay, so it's been 6 hours since I slept. Right, 6 hours since I sorry 6 hours since I woke up. So my energy is still good. And plus I had like two tablespoons of the coffee, right?
Yeah.
So it's enough. It's enough for me for now. And I'm feeling good, having very good workouts. Uh, how can I describe my workouts? Mm, there are obviously I train with high intensity, right? I mean, everyone does say that, but you know, you can really tell when your shirt is drenched and you're training to the point where you're like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm done today. I want to go home. I don't want to
Yeah.
like, jump around and do this, do that. No, I'm just like, okay, I'm done. Bye bye. See you
Yeah,
tomorrow.
and like what you said with everybody claiming they train high intensity, and then when you look around in the gym at people that look like that, it's like maybe like one or three guys the whole night. So everybody that says they're training at high intensity is lying to themselves.
Bro, I mean, I look and see, okay, I don't really pay so much attention, but you can see in the corner of your eye. If you have time to go on your phone in between sets, right? And actually like send messages, update your Instagram and do some posts or update your Instagram story like, oh, like working hard, hashtag hardcore or whatever the hashtags are
Hardcore.
nowadays.
I'm
If
on
you
my
have
phone.
if you have time if you have time to do that, then I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but bro, you're not, it's not intense. It's not intense enough to go to a competitive level. Maybe if you have God-given genetics, maybe that's enough. But I don't have God-given genetics. So, after my set, like my head is like, thumping. I'm like, oh my God, okay, focus up, rest, breathe, visualize the next set, and then go again. Breathe, control your breathing, control your abs, control your stomach. Don't let your stomach just fly out. Breathe, keep the core tight, and then, okay, think about your cues for the next exercise. Let's say I'm doing back, okay. I'm doing, let's say, a chest supported single arm hammer strength throw, for example. Okay, what's my cue? Okay, chest up, big chest, proud chest, brace with your abs. Okay, grip it. Now, drive with your elbow, find the line, find the path. And I'm thinking about that during this rest whilst I'm controlling my breathing,
Mm,
right? And
yeah.
why is that? It's because for any physique sport, I don't care what it is, if it's open bodybuilding, if it's men's physique, or even if it's like muscle model or whatever it is, right? You cannot let your stomach just fly out. You must control your breathing. You must keep that core tight because when you practice doing this, when you're on stage and you're depleted and you're tired and you're nervous, you don't forget it. It's natural, and that just helps so much more with the presentation of the physique on stage. Even if you're not in the first call out, you're standing, to the side, or you don't want to let your stomach fly out, because how do you know a judge may not just look your way and see that, oh, you know what, I don't want to look at this physique, I'm not going to call it out. That could be the difference between, placing 6th and placing 10th.
Yeah,
Just that one mistake.
That is a really good point, because that's one of the things that is a problem. The last, sorry, excuse me. The last couple of days before the competition, on the day of the competition, sometimes bodybuilders will have issues where they will get like bloating in their stomach right around the competition, mainly because of like a carb up, and they're looking for something like as an emergency fix to help get rid of that. And what I've had success with helping these guys with using is some kind of like a anti-gas medicine, or some kind of fungal medication, because you got all the fungus and the bacteria that is naturally growing in your intestines, and these things run on glucose. So when you give them glucose, like for a carb up or something, they have a tendency to make gas, which then, your intestines are full of gas. The stomach is like, constantly trying to go out. So I've had actually success with simethicone as like gas X as an emergency method of helping bodybuilders solve their bloating.
Is it like carbon pills?
It's
ultra carbon pill.
I like those like what is it, charcoal, activated charcoal. I like that too.
Yeah.
But the one that I'm talking about is, you can see it in airports when you're traveling. You'll see gas X in like the vending machine or something, and it's it neutralizes the ability of those fungus to produce gas. It's called, the active ingredient is simethicone.
Okay, no, I've never used that, but I think for a carb up, like, you see a lot of these people. This, like, I remember watching Dave Palumbo video. I'm not knocking on Dave Palumbo. Dave Palumbo, he says quite a lot of things. Some of it good, I agree with. Some of it I don't agree with, but that's fine. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. But I think for a carb up, you should stick to the foods that you have been using throughout prep. It would be unwise to introduce something foreign and just for that 3 to 5% gain, you can ruin your whole look. Mm-hmm. So having like a greasy meal of maybe like a burger with fries or something like that for the carb up, that could also cause, the indigestion, the bloating, and also coupled with, the fact that some guys, they have to travel on planes to get to the competition destination. Yeah. Or maybe they've undergone something, they lost their bag, or they got some stress, the cortisol level rises up, and that ruins the look as well. So it's all about, I think, when, even at the amateur level, if you want to really do well, or even going to the pro level, you really need to plan everything in advance. So book the hotel in advance, book everything, make sure that the hotel has, a place for you to cook, or if not, bring your own portable stove or something, whatever it is, that's what Hiratama Yamagishi used to do for his Olympia. He would bring his own little portable stove and cook everything himself in the hotel room, just so he knows, I'm covered. And what was,
the same system as he used to get there.
Yeah. So it's just like, if I'm doing a carb load, I'm just going to use the same kind of carbs that I've been using. And to be honest with you, my stomach is quite sensitive. I don't eat a ton of red meat because I cannot digest that well. I cannot eat lamb to save my life, And the carbs that I eat is white rice, sweet potato, and oatmeal. And I can get away with some cream of rice, but that's literally it, bro. Literally, that's it.
Well, let's keep on going. Let's keep on going over more of the meals that you have. So you got your workout, and then you got the post workout. And you go
Yeah.
with one scoop of whey isolate plain post-workout.
Yeah, because I cannot eat post-workout.
Okay.
Post-workout, I always feel like I want to throw up. I just want to lie down and just like crash for a bit. So I need to feed my body with something. So I have a shake, and then I crash for a bit, and then I go into my meal 3, which is the post-workout meal, which is
Approximately
6 ounce.
this is like 1
Approximately how
hour.
long?
Yeah, one hour or so
Um,
after the workout.
after the shake, probably about 1 hour. Yeah, around an hour after the shake.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes a little longer, like an hour and 10 minutes, but I'm not so fussed about that 10 minutes right now. So I'll have 6 ounces of a chicken breast, cooked weight, 5 ounces of white rice, cooked weight, and some greens. So whatever salad that I had in the morning, um, you know, uh, the second meal, I'll have the same thing, but then there won't be any fat in that meal.
Okay.
So there won't be any avocado or there won't be any extra virgin olive oil, you know. Yeah, so that's my workout meal. Then I'll chill for about 2 hours, sometime 2.5 hours. Then I'll have my fourth meal, which is no carb meal. So beef or salmon, same 6 ounces, and the same salad that I had, for the whole day. Because I prepare a big salad, and then
Yeah, you
just
take
portion it
take
out.
from it. Okay.
It just saves me time. It just saves me time. And the fifth meal would be chicken breast, because that's less fat in it than the beef or the salmon, and the same salad. And I can have 15 grams of nuts. So I have almonds, but not the tasty almonds, the ones that are like roasted with sugar. No, just the normal almonds. You buy them in a really big bag from Costco. They're from the brand called Kirkland,
Yeah.
Kirkland. You just buy a big bag, and that lasts quite a long time if you're just having 15 grams. So, and I have that after my meal as like a little dessert or whatever.
Yeah, so it
And that's
looks
it.
like basically you have the one rice meal post workout with the carbs, and then that's it. You cut the carbs after that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But don't forget, I have oats in the morning as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but after the post workout meal, that's your last meal with carbs. The rest of the
Yeah,
meal
yeah,
is
yeah.
no carbs. Rest of the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the last thing you do before sleep is another 45 minutes of cardio.
No, 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 no. The cardio is just fasted in the morning.
Okay, okay. I was gonna ask you, like, how do you sleep? You know,
Oh, when I'm sure that when it gets closer to crunch time, it will be cardio before bed. But
because
yeah,
that's a problem with
by
dieting.
that,
Sleeping is probably the worst part of dieting because it's like you can't get to sleep.
ah,
And then once you are asleep, you're waking up all night, like every
the
two
pee,
hours.
yeah, yeah, you need to pee, yeah. That's part and parcel of it. Obviously, we do have some dubious compounds, which I'm sure you will talk about later, that also affect sleep. But if you have some melatonin, or you have some zinc, magnesium, the ZMA, a 5-HTP, ashwagandha, those products actually do help induce sleep. They do help you relax and calm down. But I tell you what I find that's very good before you sleep. Okay. Now, this is what I do. Okay. You don't have to follow it, but this is just a recommendation. I take a cold shower before sleep. I turn on my aircon before I go into the room. So when I go into the room, it's a cold room. And then about 2 hours before I want to sleep, I start dimming the lights in my house. Okay.
Mhm.
And 1.5 hours before I sleep, no phone, no laptop, none of this tech, electronic device.
Mm.
What I'm doing is I'm reading a book, not listening to an audiobook, yeah, reading a book to
Mhm.
calm me down. And then I find that I sleep a lot better. Because if not, yeah, your phone is on, bing, the message come in. Oh, bing, another message come in. You look at the message. No, don't do that. Because that's stimulation for your brain, you get what
Mhm.
I mean, right? You want
Mhm.
to reduce that. because there's this thing called the circadian rhythm, right?
Yeah.
So back in the long time ago, when we were cavemen, we didn't have lights, we didn't have TV, we didn't have phones, we didn't have none of that. When the sun wakes up, we wake up. When the sun goes to sleep, we go to sleep. Natural
Okay.
supplements.
Yeah. Okay. So Jeremy, you got a list of supplements here that you're also taking
Mm.
there, natural supplements. Of course, you're taking performance enhancing supplements, but these natural supplements are way underrated when it comes to, like we were talking about, managing insulin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think the biggest one, I think that helps me a lot is the apple cider vinegar. Have you used that before?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, it's
It inactivates the enzymes that digest glucose. So instead of getting a glucose spike, you get a glucose basically horizontal line on a graph instead of a big hill.
so my father is diabetic, right? So he's a type 2 diabetic, okay?
Okay, so
So
acquired
he's
diabetes.
yeah. So obviously he's on the metformin, he's not on insulin. But I was just like, hey, I bought this apple cider vinegar from the brand Bragg's or
Hmm.
Bragg's, how you pronounce it, and it's got apple cider vinegar with the mother, right? Which is
Hmm.
top at the bottom. And I get him to do the same thing that I'm doing, just have it every morning on an empty stomach. And dude, his blood sugar is like so much better now.
Yeah. How much did it improve?
Yeah.
Like how much percent?
I would say like his blood sugar is always like within range now. Sometimes there would be a lot of variance because he likes to eat a lot of fruit. And the type of fruits he eats are like, lychees, durians, those stuff with like high sugar. And with the apple cider vinegar that he has, obviously cutting down a little bit more on the fruits, not so much, but a little bit. The apple cider vinegar helps a lot. And it actually also helps him with his digestion and his acid reflux, believe it or
Okay.
not.
Um,
Yeah. And that's
so
the
so
only
the
thing
the
I change.
metformin alone wasn't able to control it.
Uh, Sometimes it does, right? Because he's using the brand Glucophage, and I
Mhm.
believe that Glucophage is 850 mgs per pill. Um, the ones that I can get here are just the usual like 500 mg per pill, and it's the off-brand, the generic, brand, not the Glucophage brand from Merck.
Okay.
But regardless, DCC uses it, of course, but I think the apple cider vinegar has more benefits because I also do believe that it helps with the immune system. I really do believe that. So I think it's something that can, if you can afford it, and to keep it in, all year round.
Yeah, that stuff's
I
pretty
really,
pricey overseas because I think it's a made in America product. So if you buy it in
yeah,
America, it's actually pretty cheap. You can get a liter of that for like $10. But I think in other countries overseas, like where you are, maybe it's like 30,
yeah.
20, $30.
But hey, bro, remember I told you about cutting costs and the unnecessary stuff, like the
Mhm.
coffees that you get from Starbucks. All that
Okay.
stuff adds up,
Uh-huh.
right? So, you find ways to make it work.
Hmm.
You get what I mean? Yeah. So the apple cider vinegar, that's one. Fish oils, I'm a very big believer in fish oils. Okay. Um, the omega 369, your fish oils, I believe that you should have them, regardless dieting phase, off-season phase, or if you're just someone trying to be healthy, right? Um, Digestive enzymes, I have it with my meals. Okay. Probiotics about twice a day. CoQ10 is very good for the heart. Because as bodybuilders, we do like to use things that are not so good for our hearts, so we do need to protect it. Standard multivitamin tablet. So actually, I'm using, this brand Universal Nutrition, the Animal Pack, where they have
Hmm.
all of the different multivitamins in the packs. They're quite a lot of pills. I think they're about 10 pills, and you take 2 packs a day. So it's like
Hmm.
20 pills, but I just pretend I'm like Ronnie Coleman, like, in the video of Ronnie Coleman, he opens his big box and he has all the multivitamins. He's just taking one by one.
Yeah.
I just pretend I'm running home whenever I take them. Makes me feel good about myself. And some extra vitamin C, vitamin B complex, and another one here it says magnesium, but I use ZMA, so zinc magnesium. So the magnesium is magnesium aspartate, which is when it's Na, right?
Mhm.
So zinc and magnesium aspartate, and I take that before bed. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
it.
And
Oh,
why
and
do you take
also
a
one more
vitamin
thing.
B complex?
Oh, so vitamin B complex, I feel that it's very good for your energy.
Mhm.
And I feel that in order to build muscle, I forgot who it was. It Leroy Colbert or Leroy Cole or something, an old school bodybuilder, African American old school bodybuilder. He had a video out, and I watched a video a long time ago, and it stuck with me. He said he called them the men the boy the men in B or something like that. The vitamin B's basically. He said that that's very very helpful and very essential for building muscle and giving your body energy and what it needs. So I have always taken vitamin B's since then, the vitamin B complex. I always
Cool.
take it once. Yeah. And I also use, I forgot to mention here, 5% nutrition. So Rich Piana's supplement line, they
Mhm.
have a supplement called Liver and Organ Defender.
Yeah.
So it's got stuff for the heart, liver, kidney, and prostate to protect, because when we use these slightly more dubious substances, we do need to protect ourselves and do the due diligence required to ensure that our bodies are being protected, so that they can function properly to as best as it can. So I do take that. The serving size is 3 pills 3 times a day, so I just have it after my meals. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Jeremy's plan laid out here now, guys, for everyone to see. And this diet plan, in his journey to get ready for this competition, it's so much more important than him throwing clenbuterol and throwing thyroid
Mhm.
hormone and throwing trenbolone and higher doses of trenbolone at his body in
Mhm.
order to get ready for this competition. A lot of guys that listen to the podcast, they maybe mistakenly believe or want to believe that what they can do, the answer to their problems with, because everybody wants to get ripped, is to start taking higher and higher doses of trenbolone. And the idea that steroids burn fat, like, oh, I'm going to take Anavar to get ripped. I'm going to take Winstrol to get ripped. I'm going to take Masteron to get dry. And I'm going to take trenbolone to get ripped. Those total fantasies. If Jeremy wasn't doing the diet and the supplements that we just now laid out here, he could take all of those other drugs in the world that he wanted, infinity amount of quantities, and he's not going to get in shape.
Yeah. I'm gonna admit I used to think like that, right? A
Mm-hmm.
while ago. But when you actually learn, with a coach and you do things properly, you realize that, hey, actually, you think you want to believe that you can outtrain a bad diet. You can supplement a bad diet. You can't. That's the truth. You can't. Yeah, nothing, like I told you, I always tell you, nothing works better for contest prep than Trenbolone, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
But at what cost? So I'm not saying to take Tren. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that nobody takes Tren. I'm not saying that either. But you need to be tactical with your dose and when you use it and how much you use it. If you need to increase the dose, then increase it. But what is the reason for that increase in dosage? Can you get away with a lower dosage and perhaps adding, like I said, adding a bit more cardio, or pulling back the calories a little bit? Ah, okay, now we're talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I like you said, like, okay, fine, trend's great. So what's my checklist? Okay, I have a checklist, and it's not necessarily purely financial. It's also, do you have these things in order? Do you have a stable job that's providing you with a good income? Do you have a stable relationship and a partner in your life that is understanding of what you're trying to do, all aspects of it, the diet, the training, the supplementation, both over the counter and under-the-counter supplementation, because these are very important. Because like if you take more tren, I don't care who you are. I'm sure it happens to the majority of people. You tend to make very, very bad decisions in your life, and things take a turn for the worst. And if you don't have either a stable job, multiple streams of income, a good relationship, all these things start crashing down like plates in a house where there's an earthquake, or a plate from this cabinet comes crashing down, and it comes crashing down. Then what are you going to do? For what? Just to take more trend? It doesn't make sense to me, right? Yeah, so that's the truth. I know maybe some people don't want to hear it and say, "Oh, you take this out, bro." Trust me, I've taken 2 cc's of tren a day for every day, 1,400 mg of trenbolone a week. I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Did I look good? Yeah, I looked pretty damn good. I showed you the photos. But did I feel good? No, I felt like shit. Was I angry? Yeah, I was really angry. I was angry. I was not happy. And when your mind is not positive, when you're thinking negative thoughts, you attract negativity. I know this sounds very spiritual and bougie, like some guy is just smoking weed and doing like LSD, but no, it's true. No, seriously, you attract in life what you emit.
Yeah.
Right? It's like radio waves. So think positively. If you're always angry, oh, fuck, this guy cut me off on the road when I'm driving, I'm already thinking about 101 ways to like smash his car on the side of the road or whatever, and like beat him up or some shit like that. Yeah, seriously. So why do I want that when I'm on my way to the gym, when I have a job to do, I got a workout to do, and just because some asshole cut me off in front of the road, it ruins my mood. Why? Because I'm not in control of my emotions at this crazy dosage. But if I'm taking something like 250 mg a week, 350 mg a week, yeah, I'm in more control.
Yeah.
Sure, my fuse is a little bit shorter, but I can control it. And that's what I need, you know? So yeah, so this is I hope that people listen, but we can't control what people do, right?
Yeah, and just it seems to be about 500 milligrams per week is the threshold where most people start getting really weird mentally with tren. Doesn't it seem like that?
Yeah.
About 500 milligrams or more? That
Yeah,
it
five
makes you
five to
weird.
seven. Yeah, a cc a day. Yeah, 1 cc a day. It does make you a little bit weird. But then I do attribute a lot of it, like when you're dieting generally and you're tired and you're hungry, your fuse is going to be shorter, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's say I go to a restaurant and I'm really hungry and the waiter takes a bit longer. I get a bit angsty, right? Now imagine you're on tread. Oh man, I'm fucking hungry. I need to eat. I'm fucking sweating. I'm feeling hypo. Where the fuck is this waiter? What's he doing? Why is he spending so long at that table? Where's my food? Did the chef forget my order? No. And then after you eat, you're like, oh, it's okay. Take your time to bring the check. It's okay. Don't worry. I'm good. Right? You're hangry. You're hangry. You know what I mean? So it's all these things that play on the mind. And trenbolone, I think you've talked about it so many times. A hormone that strong that can cause such change is definitely going to cause some psychological change as well, right? Definitely has a strong effect on the brain. I forgot which part of the brain, some scientific name, but it has a very, very strong binding affinity to the androgen receptor in that part of the brain. So it does cause a lot of psychological change as well.
Yeah, I think the part of the brain that you're referring to, I think it's the amygdala, which is a more lower primitive part of the brain stem that animals have. The upper brain is like we've kind of built on that as humans, in addition to the lower parts of the brain that animals have. So
Yeah.
what is the other supplementation that you're using? The other
Uh,
PEDs.
so right now, coming off from the off season, I'm using Sustanon from Hansel. So it's a pharmaceutical grade Sustanon, which I really enjoy using. So using the Sustanon, I'm using Equipoise, so Boldenon, EQ, and MPP. So what I'm doing now is the testosterone. I'm training 5 days a week. So I jab on the days that I train. Okay. I'll either do half a cc of sustanon or half a cc of EQ, 1 cc of NPP, and half a cc of Trenase. And that's it.
Okay.
Yep. And
So
so that's it for
it's
now.
Sustanon, EQ, NPP, and Trenase.
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest with you,
Mixing Sustanon, or sorry, mixing NPP and Trenase isn't a problem for you.
no, no,
I don't think it's a problem
nothing.
for
I mean,
most people, but there's rumors out there on the internet that you can't do that.
I can understand why people think it's like a prolactin bomb, but you know, if you're taking like what, so 500 mg of MPP, okay, plus 250, that's 750, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's some people's total trend dose, right?
Yeah.
You just look at it that way, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
know some people, they're running that much and they're not even running any KBR or P5P or vitamin B6 or is it B7 or whatever, and they're fine. And my blood work doesn't show too much elevation in prolactin where it's off the charts.
Awesome.
So it's fine. And the testosterone dosage, mm, I wouldn't say it's low. I'm feeling good. Everything is working fine. And it's enough. It's enough because you see with sustanon, yeah, you have 4 different esters, right? So you have a little bit of that propionate that works slightly faster, but then you also have like the longer esters that carry on. And I've had this in my system for a while now. So I think the only time I'm going to change, maybe depending on what coach says, will probably be like 6 weeks out. We change the sustanon to a propionate, and then maybe we drop the NPP and we add in, something else. Maybe you add in Masteron, or maybe like drop the EQ or lower dose of the EQ. But to be honest with you, it's working well for me. My training is good. I'm still strong. I can still lift, you know, the same weights as my off season, even though my calories are reduced. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
At
I
the
got a
same
question.
intensity.
I got a question for you regarding that. What
Yeah.
is your goal in the gym when you're on your fat loss diet, when you're on the contest prep, and because you're not going to be feeling strong. A lot of people, when they go to the gym, they're used to feeling strong. They're used to getting a big pump. And, if you take away those things from them during the gym, like they're not getting a pump anymore and they don't feel like they're as strong or have as much endurance to their strength, like being able to do a lot of sets with a certain strength before becoming fatigued, they will become very discouraged. So they don't really understand that there's a difference to the training depending on what the nutrition intake is, that it feels very different. What's your goal during the training on a diet?
For me, I keep the training relatively similar. The movements don't really change that much, to be honest with you. So let's look at back, right? Because remember, we did a post on the bent over barbell rows, which I believe is what I call a bread and butter exercise for building a back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some form of bent over barbell rows, okay? So the back is the part that body part that I've tried to bring up, because obviously even in men's physique, you do need a wide back, you do need a relatively thick back and a detailed back to place to win. So of course, you're not going to be able to do the bent over barbell rows the way you did them in the off season, but you still try and keep to that same form, that same tempo. And even if the weight drops a little bit, it's okay. Just stick to it. Log everything so you can actually see. And once you've logged that, you look and you say, okay, this is how my physique's progressing. Even though I'm losing weight, even though the weights are decreasing, okay, maybe I'm not feeling as strong or whatever. You try and keep everything as similar as possible, right? It's just like the diet. The diet doesn't change so drastically, right? I don't go from eating McDonald's to eating clean. I eat the same foods, but just the quantities change a little bit, and
Okay.
that's it. Yeah. And another thing that a lot of people like, some people they like to throw in Winstrol like quite early on in the prep. I don't believe in that now. I believe that those very, very dry compounds, the hardeners like Winstrol, Masteron, and stuff like that, you should only throw them in towards the end. Don't throw them in too early because it's also affecting your liver, right? You don't want to use too much orals. I know a lot of people like to use orals during prep. Like, they throw the kitchen sink at it and they try and use as much as they can, but save them. It's like you're playing cards, right? Save your trump cards, your big cards, your powerful cards towards the end, so you have options.
Yeah, the
But
one that's really grown on me over the years, though, in regards to being able to use it without toxicity, is Anavar. Have you noticed that? You know what? I've noticed that low dose Anavar can even get rid of oral toxicity. Like if you've got toxicity from halotestin, from Superdrol, from Winstrol, from Anadrol, etc. If you can still even stay on like 10 to 20 milligrams of Anavar per day and like come off of those other orals and simultaneously get rid of your toxicity while staying on Anavar.
if you can get real Anavar, big
Mhm.
if you can get real Anavar. So my coach in his country, he has real Anavar, but I am not confident in the source that I have of Anavar here, to be
Okay.
very honest with you. Maybe it will be something that I throw in later, but when I throw in orals, if I'm in the situation that I'm in, I'd much rather use Winstrol towards the end than think, oh, I give Anavar, then what if it's T-ball? What if it's D-ball? I don't know. But Winstrol, they're not really going to fake it. It might be underdose, but Winstrol is a pretty cheap raw powder. They're not really going to fake
Yeah, you know what,
it.
somebody
So
that was involved
I would much
with
rather
that.
just use my money on. Yeah.
One time he said something funny to me about the packaging for this Winstrol is costs more than the raw ingredients.
Yeah, if you're doing it in a huge quantity, then I can see that, economy of scale. I can see that working. But bro, like, guys back in the golden era and stuff like that, they used to run D-ball into shows,
Yeah, but
and they
they were
still got
also
pretty.
eating mostly almost no carbs though.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't necessarily mean like what you run. It doesn't really matter what you run per se, because you can technically use these compounds, like you can use test or Deca and D-ball and still go into a contest and look relatively lean, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, definitely,
S-
definitely Deca too. I mean, that Deca and Winstrol, those alone, I've seen people, guys that had no idea what they were doing as far as like PEDs. They were just like had a natural talent and then didn't know anything about PEDs, but knew that PEDs existed and knew that they needed to take them. And so they'd go into a show like on Deca and Winstrol only and look totally incredible.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, my coach has one guy. He just used test prop and Winstrol, and he looks really good.
Mhm.
And he just started like 8 weeks out. Test prop and Winstrol. You know, Asian guy as well, but really good genetics, and he's just got an knack for it. He looks really good. So the drugs. I mean, yeah, of course, like the steroids. It's called the steroids podcast, right? Like we like talking about drugs and stuff like that. But I think it gets to a point when you've done this for quite a bit, and you do realize that yes, of course, the drugs are important, but not as important as all the other things that you need in place first, in order to facilitate, you know, a situation where the drugs can actually be of good benefit to you. You know.
Yeah, it sucks that there's this thing where the PEDs can't really be talked about so much because then it puts out this kind of belief that like, oh, okay, that's the secret. That's all I have to do in order to make everything work. And so people think that
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well that's the only thing I have to do, and that's not what's going to work. Of course, bodybuilding, weightlifting, etc., is very multifaceted and complex. Many different things have to be going on at the same time. Definitely, you've got to have the PEDs in there in order to have the ability to become a bodybuilder. But there are other things, going on. It's not going to be something of like, man, you just inject yourself and become a bodybuilder. I guess the closest way that somebody could get to that though would be to, yeah, fucking throw the kitchen sink at it. And if they take growth hormone, they take thyroid hormone, they take something that's affecting their insulin pathway, they take a bunch of tren, and they take a high dose of orals and testosterone. You know what? They are going to be pretty successful to a certain degree. That still isn't going to get them a contest prep, but they're gonna look decent.
Yeah, but at what cost?
Yeah,
At what
exactly.
cost?
Coronary artery disease,
So,
heart attack at 40.
so I listened to this podcast called "The Mutant and the Mouth." It's got Nick Walker and Guy Cisternino, right? It's their podcast.
Mhm.
So one thing from that podcast that I want to hash back that really stuck with me was when Guy Cisternino was competing, he got Chris Aceto as his coach, and Chris Aceto is a very very he's known as a technician, right?
Yeah.
So the one thing that stuck to me was that when Guy Cisterino, this is what he said, yeah, and I'm just quoting him like to the best of my ability. He asked Chris, he said, "What should I be using? What should I be taking?" And the Chris's answer was, "What do you have? Okay, use this. Okay, sure." He didn't care so much about the PEDs. What he really cared about was your diet and your training. That's why he's the technician, right? It's not like some of these guys that say, "Oh, you got to use this, and that." No, 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 no. He didn't really care so much about that. And when this other pro that recently won the Chicago Pro Men's Open Bodybuilding, Justin Shire, right, his pro debut, he actually got Guy Cisterino to send him some of the stuff because he was actually getting fake stuff and his body wasn't changing, right? And then when Guy Cisterino sent him some of the stuff that he had left over, boom,
Mhm.
his body changed. So the notion that pros have the best sources, they have all the best things, XYZ, blah blah blah. Bro, they are like us. They get fake stuff too. They get bunk shit, they get fake stuff. Some also using maybe some also using Chinese growth hormone, generic growth hormone. Not everyone has the money to run all this stuff, man. Most pros are broke, dude. You know, it's true. Most
Yeah.
pros are broke. But there's no money in bodybuilding, man. You think that this sponsorship is going to pay you a ton of money, 20K a month to cover your growth hormone? No, I
Well,
don't
the
think
thing
so.
too is that bodybuilding at that high of a level, like being pro like that, you don't really have any time or energy to do anything else. You
You
definitely
don't,
can't work a normal job either. And so that's one of the reasons why, you'll have guys that have incredible physiques and it's like 10 years and you're like, man, well, why didn't this guy just like start doing a social media or something and become, like get some kind of income going off of that? And it's like
Mhm.
the dude literally doesn't have downtime because he, maintaining the body that he does requires obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think in America, I'm not saying it's easy, but in America you have these meal prep companies that can help you out, and
Hmm.
do your food for you, stuff like that. Easy to take on the go and stuff. But if you don't have that luxury, then you have to cook all your own food. Like what I just like food for 2 days. So I cook the chicken, I cook everything, I keep it in the fridge. Then when I want to eat it, I just put it in the steamer. I don't have a microwave because I don't know why it's not really popular here. But I just put it in a steamer and I just steam up my food. I just eat it like that. Or if I'm on the go, it's a slightly cold meal.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's that, man.
All right, so we got a pretty good rundown today of exactly what Jeremy's protocol is, starting his contest prep, leading up to his competition. So we'll keep in touch with Jeremy. If he has any major updates, with his protocol, we'll bring him back for another episode of the podcast to talk about that. But
Yeah.
thanks, Jeremy, for coming on the podcast today. And
Nah, no worries.
yeah, it's always great having you on, bro.
All right. So that's going to be the last question for the podcast today. It's fun talking to you guys, and I'll be coming up with another episode for you guys real soon here. So make sure to go pick up Ultimate Guide to Roids, 109-page ebook by Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. If you just go to bodybuilderinthailand.com, it's I think it's the first article on the homepage where you can check it out and read like 20 pages. It's definitely worth it. It's my best content. If you like the podcast, the book will blow you away.